Are you ready?
Let's do it. Let's
All
go
right.
down this rabbit hole.
Let's go down this rabbit hole. Obviously, we're on the home stretch. We just finished season 6. We're headed to season 7, final season.
Yeah.
How do you kind of feel knowing that this is, the start of the end?
I'm gonna answer that honestly because there's so many answers you could it's bittersweet, and that's true. It is pretty bittersweet. But I thought when I found out that I would be like sad, like so sad and so depressed. But I'm actually just happy that it gets to finish. Like I'm so happy that it gets to know when it's going to be done so they can write a finish for it, as opposed to it just being like, oh, now we're done all immediately, which happens to a lot of shows. You are in the off season and you finished your season and potentially written a finale, but it's not the finale you want. But 7 seasons is an amazing run, and the people on it, as well as the writers and everybody, get to finish it off the way that they want to. And I'm pretty much overjoyed, and I'm excited to see what's next. So it's not, I don't have like an ounce of sadness. I'm sure that will come. I'm 100% know that will hit me like a ton of
The
bricks.
last episode you guys are filming, you're gonna just be devastated. It'll hit you.
Yeah, but right now I'm just I'm excited to get to work and kind of have a last ride with all my family, because every single one of them now is my immediate family. We've been through so much together over the course of 7 years, and I really, really just can't wait to do it one last time with them.
Season 7 is a good season to end on, and the 100 episodes is kind of bittersweet. So
100, you can't write it better than that. I'm telling you, right.
I mean, I hope that I know, like with series finales, there's always a couple like not cliffhangers, but something that they like leave you kind of wondering or left for interpretation. Do you think that it's going to be one of those seasons where everything's going to be tied up in a nice little bow, or do you think that kind of we're going to be left with, that one or two thing that we're just going to be questioning for the rest of our existence?
That's a very good question. I think this show is going to wrap up a lot. I can't speak at all. I have no idea even what this season is going to be. I heard like the beginning of last season what maybe might happen after this, but again, it's all changed. So that happens so frequently. So speaking in a completely blank slate, I think it's probably gonna wrap stuff up. I mean, I hope it does anyway. With that, and like you said, there's one or two things that would be left open. That would be so cool for people to interpret or to be answered in the movie in 20 years.
Yeah. Or a spinoff. There's lots of talks about a spinoff, so I think the wheels are turning with the fans of what that would be.
Jason said something at WonderCon last year, and just gave that little tidbit to everybody, and everybody's like, "What? What are you talking about?" And then, so yeah, if there is, if that's in the works, then hopefully, then maybe they'll give something that'll lead into that. Or who knows? The spinoff could be so many things. I've tried to think of what it could be and what it shouldn't be, what it can't be.
And what do you think it should be?
I like the idea of. I think this story is done. I would love the idea of a prequel of some sort. There's so much prequel you could do. You could do Earth prequel. You could do Arc prequel. You could do Before the Bombs Hit prequel. You could do like the amount of this. I think the amount of information that that is in there in the past would be so awesome to see how we kind of led to where we first saw our heroes. So that would be very cool. And as I've mentioned repeatedly, Jackson's grandfather looks exactly like him. So
Kathy. Right. I'm here. I'm available.
He shaved his head. He was, I mean, well, I don't know. It's my grandpa.
Yeah, and I mean, we kind of got a glimpse of that in Josephine's character, kind of seeing her memories and what it looked like when they were kind of leading up to that big bang per se. So it would be interesting to see kind of what happened before it all went down.
That's one of those things that we didn't talk about as much as the season went on, but I thought that was such a brilliant device to see Josephine in a diner with that fight, because everybody talked about what happened in the diner. Obviously, it was pretty crazy, but to see them sitting in a diner on Earth, it just doesn't feel like it's part of the same world, but it absolutely is.
Right. And there's a lot of things that were overlooked in terms of with that diner and obviously that story with Josephine, but even just the little details of the newspaper and Dioza getting caught and all that stuff, it just all kind of tied into it. So it'd be interesting to see kind of, where was Becca, where was Allie, all of that stuff before it happened. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. We'll be waiting,
In Jason's mind, he'll whatever he decides on, he'll run with it. And I'm really excited to see what happens because whatever it's going to be talked about, and that's what I'm excited for.
For sure. And now, what are your hopes for Jackson? I mean, did you think that he would make it to season 7?
Every year I'm like, yeah, this is probably my last year. This is great. It's been so much fun. Since season 1, I've said that. Man, I've been on a show for a season. That's awesome. Man, I've been on the show for 2 seasons. That's pretty great. Like I think every year coming into it, that's the last for me. But I'm lucky enough that I've been around this long and made some great friends and family and been able to work on a show that I love working on. And for season 7, what I want from him is I think like this is the time when Qui-Gon Jinn just died in front of Obi-Wan. And I've always said from the beginning, I made Obi-Wan Kenobi as an apprentice Jackson. When you first saw him as a Padawan with the pigtail, that's who I made Jackson after. Bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, straight down the line by the book. And then later on, as you get older, you get a beard and you get older and you start having to realize that the rules sometimes need to be bent in order to do the right thing for everybody. And he's kind of learning through process, and he's learned, and his mentor just died in front of him. And it's funny how mentally that's the character that I chose, and that's the exact kind of trajectory that he has had, literally to the point where his mentor dies in front of him by somebody else. And it's the first time he gets kind of violent. And I think he's going to change from that. He's going to grow older immediately. I think what I feel like is he's going to feel a lot older from last season, even though however long from this season to next season is, you're going to see him change. Because when you lose that person that's that close to you, always in life, anywhere, it changes you immensely. So you kind of stop looking at the world the same way. You can't, because you're not looking at it through the lens of 2 people anymore. You're looking at the lens of yourself, and you're like, I'm an adult now. I've got to handle all of this because this is my job. This is what I have to do, and I've got to take care of everybody because she's not here to hold my hand anymore. And she has been holding his hand and been like a safety blanket for him for a long time because she's so knowledgeable, so smart, and so brilliant and caring that he's always had that. So it's very sad. I get sad just thinking about it. And very cool at the same time for Jackson that he gets to kind of be a little stronger because he has to be. He has no choice but to be stronger. He can't be weak. Yeah. So I'm excited to play with that and see what they write for him.
And I mean, they're not kids anymore. You kind of see all the adults are, slowly disappearing from the show. And, you guys.
While people are saying that, it's because these kids are now the adults.
Yep.
While the adults might be disappearing, Maddie is the kid on the show now. And the adults are Clark, Bellamy, Echo, Murphy, these kids that you saw on there. Octavia, who's this young girl on the floor now, commanded an entire army, and Gaia. These are now the adults on the show. So while we miss the adults that we grew up with initially, and we don't forget that there were 6 years in between that time, so they actually did grow up in age quite a bit. 6 years is a long time, as we've said repeatedly. So those are the adults now, and they've got to make the adult decisions and do the adult things. And it's so funny how every season, when we lose a previously formed adult, they pass on their mantle to somebody else and say, this is how you have to do it. This is what you have to do. Like when Jaha passed away, he told Octavia, like, this is how you have to do it. Granted, she might have ran with it in a different way, but she did run with it, Now that Abby's gone, Clark, Jackson, Maddie are going to have to step up. Kane passing away is going to make Bellamy think, okay, that was kind of his mentor at a time. So it's really funny how they kind of pass the torch, and then these kids that we grew up with are now the adults of the show, and now there are new kids on the show that we're trying to bring up and hopefully show them positivity. And a dog.
Yeah, I mean, we have obviously Diosa's kid, we've got Maddie, we've got
Yep.
all the
Oh yeah,
children,
Hope is
Sanctum. Yeah.
here. Hope. Oh
What?
my God, mind blasted.
Yeah, that's going to be intense and interesting to explore kind of where she went and where she came from and what's trying to be accomplished there. But do you think, taking over kind of the reins of Abby as Jackson, like, what do you think you're going to do differently as the character that, Abby did on the show? Do you think she made any mistakes that you would kind of correct?
Uh, I mean, I depending on Jackson, how Jackson grieves and what he goes through because of it. There's going to be, I think, an initial phase. I think of him figuring out how exactly he's going to be a doctor without her, because before he kind of had a mantle to follow in her. Um, yeah, I mean, every time he felt she made a mistake, he did call her out on it. And what I loved about the last couple of seasons is Jackson started calling her out on stuff, which is showing his growth. Um, and I think he knows what is right and wrong in his heart. He's one of those guys that has right and wrong inside of him. So even when he steps out of it to do something that he might not think he wants to do, he knows it's wrong.
Yeah.
Right? He knows morally it's definitely a questionable item. So I think knowing Jackson, he's going to try to do everything he can morally and by the book still, but now he knows that some people will take advantage of that. And he has to understand that when people are trying to take advantage of his morality and make the decision that he knows right.
Yeah.
I think that's a basis of it is. But we're all going to make mistakes. We're all going to make problems, even him, and he knows that, and he's seen even his mentor make mistakes. So I think he's going to give himself. He's like, okay, I'm getting into this. I'm the best I can, the best job that I can do. And I know that's kind of basic, but that's always been his MO. That whatever position he's in, just do the best he can do.
Yeah. And now, do you think that kind of if you were in that situation where Clark was when she had to kind of float Prime Abby, do you think you would have been able to do the same thing? Do you think you would have come up with a different solution to that problem?
Jackson,
Yes.
that's tough. I don't think he would have been able to do it. I don't think he would have been strong enough to do it. But I think that, like, looking at it, what else are you gonna do? They will kill everybody that you love. They will. She tried to turn on there in that last second, and she would have pushed her out the airlock. When time crunches are the thing about we don't think about a lot is these guys are under so much time crunch all the time. A decision is better than no decision because no decision means death.
Yeah.
So you have to make a choice. Throwing Abby out of an airlock, I don't think Jackson would be able to kind of give up the idea that he can bring her back yet. Which is funny because in the same vein of Abby trying to bring Kane back, I think if Simone was in Abby, Jackson would be doing everything. He's like, no, I think he'd be in a state of denial.
Yeah.
Because Clark and Abby have been through so much of losing each other and coming back from losing each other, and now when you know that person's officially gone and you have to do a strong choice to save all of your people, they've done that a lot more than I think Jackson has done that. And I think having only two people in his life, Abby and Miller, I think it would be so hard for him to just let go of her because his loss of Abby is like the greatest loss to him. Half of him just literally cracked and died. I felt it. And I'm excited to see what's next for him, as painful as that is. Because when somebody goes through something like that, they can come out of it two ways, and we'll see which one it is.
Hopefully the good way, not the bad way.
Wow.
Have some happy endings, which is doubtful, but we'll pray for that.
And
And obviously,
we
right.
well, I have no idea what's going to happen because, like, usually the show. It's like, okay, it's going to be dark, it's going to be painful, there's going to be a lot of questions asked, but it's the last season, so who knows?
I still don't believe there's
Yeah.
going to be happy endings. I'm skeptical.
Hope for the best and prepare for the worst.
This is true. This is the motto that we're going to go into season 7 living by. And obviously the mind drives, were a big part of the season. If you could take your mind and upload it to a drive and put it into anybody on the show, like any character, who do you think you would choose?
If Sachin could put his mind right in anybody.
Yep.
Oh. I mean, J.R. Bourne is, I mean, just in terms of aesthetics, I mean, he's got a great voice. He's beautiful. Those eyes are amazing. It'd be cool to like go into a girl and see what that's like.
Right.
You know, have like an alternate like life to be like, okay, now if I was a girl, you know, that would be cool.
See how half lives.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just for now, I'm addicted to J.R. Bourne's voice, so I would love to have that voice, or like, yeah, I think it's gonna be J.R. Bourne.
J.R. Bourne, you can't go wrong with J.R. Bourne.
I just want that voice so bad. You should hear it in person. It's like reverberates into your entire soul.
You just be recording, just having voice memos, just saying things to yourself, reminders in voice.
J.R. Bourne, and that's not even it. His just sounds real. That's like a fake put on voice. His real voice just sounds like something that is made up to be pleasing to the ear.
It's one of those. We might find him calling one of those late night hotlines, right?
Legit. Sachin Sahel is trying to steal my mind drive. To himself into me.
Right. He wants to be inside me, and then everybody will go crazy. I heard the other Joe was telling me about the philosophy of everything, so I had to think about that. It's very hard to like get that out of my mouth. It was like
they had to finish it for me. Like because they talked about their podcast being a lot about phallic jokes and philosophy, and I'm like, this just works.
You're like, you just slid right into that. We're just gonna
talk about during this entire conversation to not say more jokes has been so hard, but I'm trying to be professional today.
And none of that. Now that we're on the topic of eggplant emojis, obviously this season was very mind-bending and a lot of stuff happened. What 3 emojis do you think you would use to kind of sum up what went down this season?
That's a great question. What's like a mind-bending emoji? Maybe like the acting face, the happy and the sad.
Oh yeah.
Right, to show the two faces of what's going on with Clark. I would do a knife, because there were a lot of knives, and maybe like a mind blown thing.
The one where it's just a big puff.
Just a big puff of air above somebody's brain, and they're like, "What?" That.
And what like in terms of kind of everything that transpired, what was the most shocking thing that you saw unfold on the season that you didn't expect would happen?
I think Abby for sure was a huge thing that when we read it, I had a mind blown emoji. Hope showing up at the end was insane. When I saw Octavia's hand turn to an old person's hand, I'm like, what is happening here? Where are we? That was when Clark was first Josephine and she sliced that woman. The Clark and Josephine episode, so I'm just going rambling all the stuff where my mind blew. The Clark and Josephine episode, when Bellamy woke Clark back up again. Like just some of these moments are just so special. Murphy and Amori, when they came out in those like gowns as like
the
new primes. Yeah. Oh my God, there were so many. I loved this season so much. This season because every episode I was like, what is happening? This is insane. Dio's disappearing. Finding out Gabriel was Gabriel. A dog. We had a dog.
Dog, I know. Too bad it wasn't Chewie.
Because they'd be like, oh, is this dog a weapon? Because Chewie is humongous.
Right.
So they'd be like, what kind of dogs are they breeding? That would end up being the story of the season. Everybody would want to know how you created such a big dog.
Oh, that's too funny.
Yeah.
So in terms of kind of obviously we talked, I guess the mind blown moments would categorize as favorite scenes, or do you have like favorite scenes aside from those mind blown moments?
I think within those are some of my favorite scenes as well. Like Abby, when Abby walked in as Simone and we're all kind of losing it, and Clark has to pretend that she's upset about her boyfriend as Josephine. like I think that whole episode, watching Eliza and Paige go back and forth between Abby and Clark losing each other, and then having to pretend to be the other person in front of the other person so often, and mind flippy. That was crazy. I loved. I mean, I loved Jordan's stuff. I love that character too. He was pretty dope. So when he was talking to like Bellamy at the end there, and Bellamy trying to give him advice, and Jordan being like kind of not like the Jordan we've seen before. He's a little messed up because of all the stuff that has happened. This is like not the life you thought was going to happen. And then, you know, what was cool about Bellamy is, I said this before, but him become like, Bellamy Blake has become an emotional like resonance for people to go and talk to, because he's such a strength that they go to him and they talk to him about their issues. And I'm like, that's Bellamy Blake. Mm-hmm. That's Bellamy Blake. We're on the ground now, you know. I just love that kind of growth that people have had. And yeah, there are so many good scenes this season. Episode 2, when they're all fighting each other, Murphy, Clark, and Bellamy, and that
was awesome.
Together, that Echo Bellamy scene where Echo was talking about her past, and got to finally learn some more about Echo. That Amori episode. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna ramble them on because this whole season I loved that Amori episode.
Every episode was amazing.
Because you got to learn so much about everybody. Amori, like going through, and you like, she's the hero of this episode, going back and forth trying to figure out everything for everybody. I just think it was so like special watching a lot of the performances and watching just these characters go through so much, and it really felt like a new world again because you got to learn so much from everybody. Yeah,
I definitely hope going into season 7 we kind of get to see Jordan more, because towards the end, I mean, we're under the assumption that he's still kind of brainwashed and is going to continue to kind of get Sanctum back in order. So like, I definitely...
He got stabbed, so like I think he had to recover until the finale because it was so much action stuff. Yeah. So it was like trying to like make sure that he definitely. I'd love to see Shannon is so great, so more of Jordan. But I think that was the plot, is that he was injured, and then to come back at the end when he's been away for a bit and see this kind of different guy is cooler, because you wouldn't be able to. It would be like, how is that flip happening? What happened to make him flip like that? Oh, time, and all of a sudden you see him where he's at. And I think it made it more of like a what the hell moment, you know, to see this different version after a couple of days.
Dude in the back just being like, we're like, going to continue.
What happened to him? Yeah, I have no idea what's happening to him, and I want to know.
Right, what went down? Hopefully we'll know in season 7. We'll see.
Yeah, exactly.
And obviously you've been playing Jackson for a long time. How has kind of that experience affected you as a person? Have you taken anything away from it?
Like everything, basically. He's completely changed me as a person. I was pretty optimistic as it was optimistic, and he made me even more optimistic and saw people in a completely different light, because initially I wanted to be more like him because he was so caring and giving, and he followed things by the book, and he was so structured. Now what I'm realizing, much like him actually, that you shouldn't be. There's a point to doing that has diminishing returns, and you have to make sure that you take care of yourself as well as everybody else, because there's a time where you can only take care of everybody else and you kind of lose yourself within that, and you don't take your time to take care of your mental health, your physical health, your all this stuff, because you're so busy helping other people feel good about themselves. And you have to make sure that to help other people, you have to be a complete person yourself, and he's taught me that. And I know I've loved playing him so much for so many reasons, besides that I get to go to set and work with people who are my favorite people, meet people all over the world that love the same show that we love, that are amazing, amazing humans. I can't tell you how great some of these people are that I get to see frequently because of this show. So yeah, I think he's done everything. And the fact that like, you love something when over the course of the seasons, there's been a bunch of stuff I couldn't do because the schedule won't work out with 100. And not once was I like, shoot. And some of these things were pretty decent, like pretty like, I can say it now. One was a Twilight Zone episode. One was like, there was a couple stuff that Planet of the Apes back in the day. There's a couple things that were like, oh, we just can't work these scheduled. And not once was I ever been like, this sucks. I'm like, no, Jackson deserves to get however he's done, however he's finished in this world, he deserves it. And he's given me so much, and so is this show, that I want to finish it as long as they will have me.
Hopefully till the end.
Hopefully till the end. If it's episode 1 of season 7, that's great too. Whatever
Oh.
whatever his journey is, whatever that is, I love it, and I'm just excited to see it to the end because it's very rare that you get to do stuff like that. A lot of stuff happens in this industry where you can't go from 1 to 7 and that's it. But if you do, man, I'll look back on this time as like my college years again, and the best time of my life. College years weren't college years to me. Those were just kind of like me figuring out my brain a little more. And then all of a sudden I get on the show and I'm like, no, this is college. After this, I'm going to go work.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of like, I don't know where I'm going with this, but basically kind of having this character for all these years. And I know a lot of the fans were worried because, obviously Jackson was with Miller and just sexual orientation and TV shows don't always
Sorry,
end well.
Sorry, can you say that again? You cut out.
Yes, so I was saying that a lot of the fans were concerned for basically Jackson's character, and then Miller as well, just because the climate still in the television industry with kind of LGBTQ characters, and something that I kind of took away from Jackson and Miller was the fact that this relationship was never what the story was. Like it didn't define both of the characters. There was just so much more in the layers of the characters that it wasn't like, oh, this is a gay character. It was, this is Jackson, this is Miller, they're together, but they have these different facades and all of that. So I think if people take anything away from that, hopefully like in the community or even just somebody watching coming across will see like, hey, this wasn't a coming out story, this person is gay and that's all they are. And I definitely think that people don't do that in the television industry very much.
I think so too. I think it becomes it can become like a device people use for whatever reason to make it part of the plot. But this has existed in its own way, in its own kind of beautiful way, that these people are together, but this is not their plots. Their plots are not this relationship. We're in this world where anybody can be with anybody. And that kind of idea that it's seamlessly intertwined in there because there's nothing odd about it, that if people want to put a label on it, it's beautiful, it's great, and it deserves to be appreciated in exactly the way every relationship deserves to be loved and appreciated. Mm-hmm. And I love doing that. I think it's such a boon to the relationship in and of itself that it isn't the only thing that is defined by each other. It's just two people that care about each other, and that's it. Because that's a long time on TV shows that heterosexual relationships are dealt with. They're two separate people and they happen to come together and be in a relationship, but they have their own separate lives. And I feel like LGBTQ plus relationships on television deserves to be viewed like every other relationship. And it's been an honor and a joy to represent this relationship with my best friend on television, and to do it in a way that's exactly like you said.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. So hopefully we continue on that trajectory because we'd hate to go out with a bang in a bad way. But kind of in terms of relationships, I would say we're going to steer into that direction always. You have some new projects out, including the Ships Alliance. Do you kind of anticipate, that this would take off and it would offer kind of a positive outlet for people in multiple fandoms to come together and spread kind words and not be so at each other's throats?
Yeah. I there's something, again, being on the show for so long, you were seeing something over the course of 7 years that you weren't sure what it was. And I didn't understand why there was so much negativity, or why there was so much, I guess, the word is negativity, towards shows in general, ships in general. And initially, being an older person, you think that ships is the problem. But then, again, like I said, the amount of amazing people that I've met for years who are shippers, who are deep in hardcore shippers, are some of the nicest people I've ever met. And I realized it's not shippers, it's negative people using shipping in the name of being able to be negative. Because unfortunately, these negative people, who I hope can find positivity and be great, and if they ever want to come to the Ships Alliance, we are wide open for anybody. They use everything in order to spread negativity. It's not just shipping. but it happens to be in the guise of shipping this one thing, and then people latch onto it and say, oh my God, my ship is causing this problem. And new people that come into the fandom, or younger people that go online and see this and they think, oh, this is the way it is to be in this fandom. And I don't want that for anybody who enjoys a show, for anybody who enjoys television, because I'm a person that grew up loving TV aggressively. And I would be one of these people on the internet, you know, growing up, that would be like, oh, I love this show. I talk about it like I talk about wrestling, you know, and I don't want it to be in a way that's spouting negativity at human beings. Because the problem is you don't realize another person sitting across from you is a human being, and you say some stuff to them that is just not cool. It's not normal, and it's not right. And that's, we're in a time now where mental health is such a big issue, and it should be brought up so people can seek help and get better and work on it. And it's supposed to being something that's in the background. But stuff like this negativity creates a lot of the issues that we're talking about, because people feel attacked constantly. And I find if we find a positive place, if there's a place where people can go to feel positive, feel loved, and understand that what they're doing is not negative, that their shipping is not a negative thing, they don't have to feel bad for enjoying something the way that they do. That's the kind of thing I want to bring to it. I'm so lucky and happy that some people took to it. I mean, it's growing daily, and it's amazing. I think we have like over 6,000 followers on Twitter in like 2.5 weeks or whatever. We're able to raise some great money for charity, for Stomp Out Bullying, and I just can't wait. I think we're gonna do hopefully another charity every like 6 months to a year. I don't want to make it feel like we're like we're trying to go over people's money, because nobody's making money off any of this.
Yeah,
money is going towards Stomp Out Bullying. I want it to be a great positive place for people to be able to just win stuff and be happy and be great. It's all I truly care about. And I just want to give back to the people that have loved this show so generously and so beautifully over time, and have been positive the whole time. And again, a lot of people I feel like are stuck in a negative spiral on it. And if they can not feel like if they're stuck in a group that's really negative, if they can be like, I want to pull myself out of this and I want to go over here, that's who we're open to as well. And I feel like that's happened a lot. Yeah. I can see people changing the way they are online and changing the way that they interact with other people, and it's really beautiful.
Yeah. And of course the interactions, obviously there are some people that are just not going to, come over to the good side. I mean, I just got a glimpse of it when I was, kind of enlisting the help of fans for questions for your interview. Got a lot of, negative comments kind of regarding the Ships Alliance. And, how do you kind of combat those negative comments surrounding the initiative? Do you just kind of kill them with kindness, try not to give them power? Like, what is your kind of approach?
Every situation is different. And I tell everybody that every situation is different, but most of the time online, you can ignore it. Most of the time online, if somebody says you suck, or if they're saying stuff that isn't true, like calling out the Ships Alliance for whatever they're calling it out for, an anti-cyberbullying charity initiative where you're getting prizes, I don't necessarily know where you can be upset about that. And that's the point, is that if there's something that you have literally nothing to get upset about, and you're getting upset about it, maybe it's time to reevaluate, your positivity and negativity barometer. And we're here to do that. I'm here to help. If people have questions about how to become more positive, I think the whole Ships Alliance can help, and it's made for the people, part of the Ships Alliance, to also help. So what's great is people have asked questions, and I've said, here guys, you're the group, help this person answer this question. And they've all roll in and saying, this is how I'm more positive. This is how I do it. But sometimes I use those negative questions, which are true questions, and I answer them because I want people, because sometimes, these negative questions ask very pertinent questions that I think sometimes the positive people want to ask. And if they don't want to ask, I just want everybody to be as aware and open as to what's happening. There's nothing like going on behind the Ships Alliance that they're not going to be aware of. It's going to be run by the fans mostly, and me, because I'll ask them what we're going to do next, and then we'll do it. Like, they want another Twitter thing, so we're going to do that. They wanted a raffle. We're doing a raffle right now for literally the people. I just chose, this wasn't going to happen, but because Eliza's doing such a great charity and such an amazing thing, and she doesn't need my help to sell more stuff to give away to charity, but to give away a raffle for 5 people that bought her shirts. They're posting on Instagram, and I give away stuff to 5 people just because. So when it comes to negativity, dealing with it is your choice. But most of the time, if you respond to something and you get yelled at in return, you get rude responses. If somebody's attacking you for no reason that you feel like, you don't need to respond to it. And the Ships Alliance has really helped me realize that a lot of the time, that person that is messaging about that just needs to be helped, and not responding to them really helps them realize that it's not worth it to do these things. You know, because I want people online to be protected, and I want them to be cared for, and I don't want anybody to be bullied for anything that they did.
And I mean, what type of advice would you give to, you know, friends who are on the opposite spectrum in terms of shipping, especially like with the 100? I mean, it's kind of like politics in a relationship. If you have, you know, opposing views on things, you know, how do you kind of combat that or work together and kind of put your differences aside if one of them might not be as, you know, open to debate as the other?
So you're saying in a situation where you're debating something and one person isn't debating, they're upset about it.
Correct. Yep. Like how would you kind of, what kind of advice would you give friends who are in the fandom who are kind of opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of shipping or the storyline or whatever it is, and they can't kind of have a.
I've met so many people that are actually on opposite ends, and they discuss it very openly and beautifully. The thing is when you're having a discussion with somebody with an opposing view, you have to understand that they have an opposing view and that they're as valid as you are.
Yeah.
It's frustrating because you believe in one thing and they believe in something else. And it's frustrating as a person who's like, no, but I see it this way and I know that this is the right way. That's exactly the way they feel about it. So when you have an open discourse, you talk about your view, they say, but this, you say, but this. Oh, okay. All right. I mean, I kind of see that, but it's not how I see it. You're allowed to disagree with somebody, but don't attack the person. You can talk about the points. You can talk about, but what about this? Well, what about this? I find as you get older, maybe, and you know, actually, I see a lot of young people do it. So that's not just an age thing; it's a maturity thing that you can have a discussion with somebody who doesn't agree with you and have it almost be fun because you're both being like, oh, what about this? Okay, now I see that, but what about this? You know, it's like you're playing poker with your discussions. I see you and I raise you this, you know, and you can fully, by the end of it, not agree with anybody. But getting your point out there, sometimes people just want to do that. So I think it's about having a discussion and respecting the other person. If you respect the other person during the discussion, I don't think there's going to be an issue because you respect their opinion as much as you respect yours.
No, I totally agree. I think people kind of in the fandom need to have more of an open discussion because there's kind of that block between, you know, the ships and the fandom, you know, that the dialogue isn't being open and it's kind of just an attack on each other. So if people could kind of have a nice constructive debate, that might help things along. But I guess
debate is how the world works. It's how the world moves. That's how we get forward at all.
That's what you think, but sometimes it doesn't always work out that way. Sometimes it backfires.
But that's, I mean, when people do that is how we actually move forward. It doesn't happen, but having a constructive debate is like, oh, okay, is how things like get done, because then you find the answer is usually for all things in the middle ground. And we tend to fight so hard on our point on either side that we don't come together. And I'm telling you right now, the people that are negative towards the Ships Alliance or me now, were not, I think a couple years ago, were not like this towards me, but are like this towards me now because I've been supporting somebody that they don't like. So if you support somebody that somebody doesn't like, all of a sudden they turn on you for absolutely everything. And these are the negative people. It's not the ships. It's not these group of people. It's these negative people that have made this decision that I don't like this person. If this person supports this person, then I'm after you too because you are whatever. Whatever they make up that you are, and whatever they're trying to say against me or this initiative that's just trying to spread positivity in people, and that's what it shows. So I want to make sure that Bellarkers, Calexas, Beckos, Maxons, Murphamies, all these memories. I always say Murphamy like top 4. I just love it so much. I want all those shippers to realize that they're so valid and loved and amazing. And I'm grateful for all the stuff they've done online for our show for so many years. and it's not them that's the issue. It's a specific negative people that do it. Yeah. So you know what? And I think one of these days I'm going to have a Ships Alliance Q&A where I'm like, okay, everybody that has a problem with the Ships Alliance, message me.
Come at me, bro. Just kidding.
I want all the smoke. I want all of it, because
Right.
I don't know what you could have against something that's trying to promote charities. I'm even promoting JR's charity right now as well. That's what it's going to do. Where if you aren't for the Ships Alliance, you're against positivity, you're against charities, and you're against doing things for people in your fandom and people of your ships. So I would love to know if people have an issue with it, because I know it's just people's issue with my choice of who to support, and literally just support everybody. So
you support Murphy. That's your
oh,
that
yeah, just you've known me for a long time now. I just love people. I love people in general. Even negative people, I love them. I want them to be happier. I want people to be great. I want people to be their best selves. I have it's just an innate desire within me to make people feel good about themselves, because I want them to feel like, real talk, I used to not feel very good about myself. This is years ago. I did a lot of work on myself. I went through a lot of therapy. I wasn't very as super gregarious. I was pretty anxious early on in this industry. I was pretty depressed, and I worked on, because acting is hard to get into it. Acting is a hard thing to work on. And if you love something so much and you can't do it, and on top of that, you're working at a job you don't necessarily want to work at, you're not making any money, you're sleeping on your friend's futon for a couple months in Surrey, it's your life, you're not too happy.
Yeah.
And so I had to work on years of getting out of that, and it's still something that you work on every day. It's never fully over, but you continually work on it. And I want other people who might be in that situation to feel great, and I want everybody to feel good, because I want them to show them that it's possible with consistent work and consistent attempts at your own happiness, because it's so important that you're happy and doing things for your happiness. Like you're working out at the gym, it's important to work out your happiness and positivity muscles. Those become your day.
Endorphins make you happy.
Endorphins make you happy. So that's why I wanted the Ships Alliance to be for people, by the people. I didn't want anybody to profit off it. I didn't want anybody but the people in it, as well as the charity that we are going to be supporting, whichever ones we decide are going to support. And that's what I wanted from it. I wanted to be pure as I see people.
Pure as people. And to kind of go off of that and have like a fun little game, this is no way endorsing any type of ship or anything like that. It's basically 3 rounds. I'm going to name 4 characters. You have to pair them up, so it's going to be 2 and 2 out of the 4. It could be romance related. You don't have to tell us what it is. It could be friend wise, whatever it is. Are you ready?
Let's do it. Let's go down this rabbit hole.
Let's go down this rabbit hole. All right, we've got, for the first round, we've got Raven, Clark, Murphy, and Echo. Go.
So I have to pick those 4 people.
You have to pick 2 pairs, so 2 together.
Whoa, Raven, Clark, Murphy,
and Echo.
Raven, Echo, Murphy, Clark.
That's what I was thinking.
That's just because that's bonkers.
Right? I'm trying to make this pretty difficult. I'm trying not to really that would normally be together. So I think that as well. So we're going to move on to round 2. Okay. All right. Now we've got Bellamy, Amori, Jordan, and Jackson. Go.
Whoa. Bellamy and Jordan and Jackson and Amori, because Amori is my favorite character.
Right? Well,
I love to have more scenes with Louisa, because that was so much fun. I mean, I've always wanted more scenes with Bob. But I think Bellamy and Jordan could learn so much from Bellamy. That's like, you'd walk around him and like run around him like a puppy and just learn. And I would love to, I think Maury and Jackson would, I just love Maury, so I'd want more. I want Jackson more scenes with her.
We all want more Maury scenes, right? All right, round 3. Now we've got Clark, Amori, Gabriel, and Miller. Go.
I mean, Miller can't be with Gabriel, because that's a mighty fine man. So Miller, Clark, Gabriel, Amori.
Ooh, that's an interesting
Because Miller
pair.
and Clark knew each other from the bunker. I mean
True.
Mount Weather, right? So they would like they have a nice cool past, nice history, and I think that would be fun to watch them kind of take over stuff together. He'd be like her backup while Juan is running in, and
Mm,
Amori and Gabriel just because that's weird. I want to see some more weirdness. Also, she's a prime now, so they're both primes. They'd have lots to talk about,
that's true. That's
right?
true. All right, so you survived the rounds, no shots fired, all good.
I mean, I'm sure you're gonna. It's going to be, and honestly, I'm excited about it.
Right?
Yeah.
There's no real like issue there. So I think we're okay.
No,
But
no.
kind
And
of go ahead.
sorry, go ahead.
No, 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 you go. You can go.
I was just saying, I love now. I'm like in a place where I'm like, yeah, bring it at me so I can answer this.
Right.
Let me know what the people want to hear. Let me know what possible negativity there is so I can dispel it.
Right.
Yeah, it's like a nice little game I'm playing now.
And now, like, what kind of over the years, what kind of ship or pairing did you hear about that you thought was just so left out of left field? And I'll kind of share kind of my experience, I guess. I had dinner with Aaron Ginsberg a while ago in New York when he was shooting New Amsterdam,
Yeah.
and we were talking about ships. And I had mentioned that like my kind of crack ship was Jackson and Abby, and he kind of hysterically started laughing. He thought it
Yeah.
was the funniest thing in the world. I didn't think it was funny, but anyways, so like, what type of like pairing do you think would just be so out of left field, but that you might kind of consider supporting?
Whoa. Okay, so what's my crack ship?
Yeah,
Is that
we're
what
gonna go
that's
with a
called?
crack ship.
That's what that's called, where it's like a ship that you don't think is.
I guess so. We're learning new things today.
First
I'm
of all,
pretty
like
sure a crack ship is
Jackson and Abby, I kind of they've been they're together. Like, they get along a lot. Like I know people that have shipped that over the course of years. So I don't think it's that insane just because they're together more often than like every hour of the day. But what's like a what's a crack ship? I would love to see Murph and me. I would love.
that.
I mean, I think that's going to be my crack ship, just because whenever I'm mentioning ship names, that's like always the top fourth
And
one that
nobody gets mad at Murph for me. Like everybody's kind of okay with it, right?
the main ones that people know that we're talking about with the ships alliance, that they think that we're the ones with the biggest numbers of people,
Mm-hmm.
and then all of a sudden we get into like Murph and me, and I'm like, right, why did that come out of my mouth right away? I think I must love it. Uh, so that would be awesome. Uh, yeah, Murph and me would be so much fun somehow in some life. I just like they just have good chemistry and scenes together, so it's so much fun to watch them go at each other from season one when they're like facing off at each other. Murphy's got like this bloody face,
Mm.
staring at each other. They've got it going on.
Maybe in the spin-off alternate universe, Murph for me will be a thing.
Reality 100, that would be
Right.
great. The what?
That would be insanity. So as we kind of come to a close, how can kind of people, get involved with the Ships Alliance? How can we help? Kind of plug all the things here.
For the Ships Alliance, all you got to do is be a part of the stuff that we're giving away and win and
Hmm.
be positive online. I don't want anybody to have to do anything. I mean, every now and then, probably once every 6 months, we're gonna do a raising money for charity. That's it. I think this is what it started. I have the shirt here. That's what it
Hmm.
started. And I think we're gonna do. I love hoodies, so I want to do a hoodie one at some
Yes,
point.
winter's coming.
Yeah, anybody that comes to a convention, you come to a convention, bring your shirt. You don't have to wear it, but like, bring it. Who knows? Maybe we'll have a Ships Alliance nights where I'm gonna buy you dinner, where I'm gonna buy you get free things. I just want people a part of the Ships Alliance to understand that its nature is to be pure and be positive online, and I don't want people to have to do anything. This is probably it's for charity, and I probably shouldn't say this, but you don't have to buy the shirts.
Yeah.
It's just there to do some good in this world. You don't have to do anything to be part of the Ships Alliance except join it. And when you see negativity online, do your best to maintain positivity, whatever that means to you. I've seen a lot of people now respond to a negative response, and when they get an angry response in return, be like, okay, I'm sorry you feel that way. Have a nice day. That is absolutely fine and great. And I'm so proud to watch that happen. Uh,
Hmm.
it's really, I see them all, and it's so beautiful. to watch that. And I see a lot of people not respond to negativity, and the negativity just fizzle out. And that's as great to me. So to be a part of the Ships Alliance, just be a great positive person online. And it doesn't mean you have to do anything. I want people to not have to do anything but win stuff and feel good. That's it.
You can't go wrong. And I forgot to mention, how do you think Jackson feels now that he's the one who kind of dismantled or, fried the flame, ripping it out of Maddie's head?
I loved that moment because Clark is so capable and so strong, and it was so amazing to see that in that moment she had a moment of vulnerability, that she's allowed to be a real human and be vulnerable, because that's what a full character is. That amidst her strength and amidst her running around and doing everything and solving everybody's problems, that because she just lost her mother and she's worried about her daughter, she had a moment of vulnerability that Jackson could step in and do that for her. And he's a guy that's always going to be there when anybody needs him for anything. So to him, that wasn't a moment of, okay, the flame's here, we got to do this for the flame. For him, that was a moment of, I have to help Clark.
I have to save Maddie. Yeah.
I might be upset that I lost Abby, but she lost her mother.
Yeah.
And that's the way he would see it. He would see, I can't be as sad as her. It's not my right. It's my job right now to do this for her and for Maddie. And plus Lola was having to shake around all day and be convulsive for like hours on end. And I was just so proud of her that I was happy that it was over.
Right? That's got to take a toll, having to kind of do that.
I wish y'all could see how much of a champ she is. She's just like she'll go there, whatever they ask her to do, she'll do and she'll crush it. And everybody's always making sure that she's okay. And she's always like, I'm totally fine. Let's keep going.
Sneak a cookie, right? Just be like,
too many cookies. Too many cookies, Lola. Lola, you're a great actor. You're doing very good. Too many cookies.
Too many cookies. Kids, you gotta have cookies. It's okay.
On the first day, and like shout out to Sasha, her mom, who's the best. But like on like I think it was the season finale of season 5, she was sitting in the tent eating a cookie, and then her mom was coming up and she threw the cookie at me. She's like, "Don't tell." So I'm totally ratting on her right now. But
like
she chucked the cookie at me, and I had to pretend it was mine.
Oh, Lola.
You've been called out, lols.
I totally forgot this whole time I could have been drinking out of this mug.
Hey, amazing.
Ayo.
Ayo, Murphy.
Murphy mug.
I can't wait to see what happens with Murphy. I mean, he had such a crazy season. He almost died, and then he came back, and now he's a prime. Like that's a crazy season for somebody, He also had our first musical performance of the show, so.
Right? I know. We had lots of fun little musical moments in season 6 that I was definitely on board for.
Yeah. Oh, it was great. It was a really fun season, and I just can't wait to see what happens this season, and I can't wait to finish it. So what's great about this show is that we film a season, you guys watch it, then we immediately watch another season. So I think what's going to be weirdest is as soon as season 7 is done, to not go back.
Right.
That'll be the time where I'm like, because usually it's never out of your brain, because
and then you start filming.
You watch it and then you go back to filming. You're like, okay, that was cool. I just watched what happened. Now I get to do this again. When season 7 is done airing, that's it.
It's the end.
And that's going to be weird. That's probably when I will freak out and bawl my eyes out. And I'll call everybody and they'll be like, Sachin, you stopped filming 6 months ago. I know, but
let's just get together and film a couple scenes. It'll be fun.
Exactly. Please, we'll do it on the iPhone. It'll be great.
Series? Yeah, what series? It's the spinoff. You'll be fine. Just continue it.
Yeah, I would love it.
It'll be then like 10, 20 years from now, you guys can do the reboot like Beverly Hills 90210 and have like a reality show of you guys filming the 100 again.
I would love that.
Right.
I would love that. I'm gonna write the movie just for the show, and then they'll have to make it because somebody made a 100 movie. Who was on it?
Mm-hmm. Oh, we could crowdfund that probably without a doubt.
Right. Well, it'll be like a Wet Hot American Summer. We'll come back when we're like 40, and we'll do the arc when we were before we went to Earth.
Stop.
It'll be great.
I would pay to see that. Not gonna lie. We're gonna have to time travel.
That's $1 billion idea.
We'll put that out into the stratosphere. See if anybody bites.
Oh, I'm doing it. Actually, that has to be done.
Make a note.
100 on the
Remind yourself. 20 years from now, you've got to do it.
Done. It's happening.
Well, I guess that's all the questions I had for you today. It's been a crazy ride, and obviously following the show for this long and getting to know you and the rest of the cast, it's going to be bittersweet to see it all end and see how it's going to end, because none of us really know the direction of what's in Jason's brain. So it should be an interesting ride.
I can't wait, and we'll make sure to do some more of this in the last season, and then it'll be the last time we're talking about this show on an interview ever.
Yes, that is going to be insane. Insanity. We're going to have to do some big things. You're headed to Unity Days, right?
I'll see you at Unity Days. We'll do some big things at Unity Days. And just for the Ships Alliance people, there will be lots of giveaways at Unity Days.
Awesome.
Official convention after it got released. So you're just going to get free stuff.
free things.
I'm totally going to go full Oprah at that.
Yeah. You get a shirt. You get a cup. You get
you get a shirt. You get food. You get
food.
I haven't decided fully. Like, it's in my brain. I have no idea what, because I want it to be big and I want it to be just astronomically humongous, which is why I think for this one I will be like, I'm going to be selfish here and tell everybody that there's going to be a lot of dipping into my own pocket to make sure this one is amazing, because I want people to stop using the idea that the Ships Alliance is for profit, because it's not. And I want to make people know that, they'll know at Unity Days that there's no amount of profit we could have made that's going to pay for whatever I'm doing at this thing. So
it's going to be extravagant. It's going to be amazing. I'm going to miss it, but hopefully I will see you on the East Coast sooner than later.
100%. I can't wait.
Definitely. Thank you so much for joining me. It's been a pleasure as always. And hopefully, fingers crossed for Jackson in season 7, and he survives until the end. None of that 701 crap. We need all the way to the end.
I'm just happy how mad it makes you. That's exactly what I like.
Right? Putting it out there.
I'll put it out there. Great.
Petition for Jackson. We are good until the end.
I love it. Thanks, Kenzie. It was so good.
Of course. It was awesome talking to you. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye.